The topic of paedophiles is one of those tabloid staples that always gets the mob worked up into a froth and baying for blood. And I think that's perfectly understandable, because what it's doing is appealing to society's base need to protect children. Now, in the video, you mentioned that the people in the town where this guy lives don't want him there. And you ask, so where is he supposed to live? And you call them NIMBYs. Well, that's probably a fair accusation, but to be honest, I wouldn't really want him living in my town either. I want him living anywhere where he's going to pose a threat to children. But if he does have to live somewhere, I'd rather it was somebody else's children that he posed a threat to than my own. And if that sounds NIMBY and selfish, then, again, fair cop. It's not a position that I'm particularly proud of, but if I'm honest and I'm given a choice between, me and mine and somebody else, for me, that's not really very much of a choice at all. Now, in your video, I actually think you asked the key question about this case, and that is it the paedophile's fault that he was released, or is it the legal system's? Now, in my view, the purpose of incarceration should be twofold. Firstly and foremost, it isolates those individuals who would harm others from society. And I think that has to be the primary objective. The secondary purpose should be reform. Now, in this particular case, this guy served, 14 years. Why was it that he served 14 years? Is it that he's now considered to be, no longer a danger? Or is it just that 14 years was seen as punishment enough, the price that he had to pay? Those 14 years was society's revenge on him for the atrocities that he'd been convicted of. Now, for him to be charged with a crime and locked away without a trial is, I'll grant you, a disgrace. A just legal system does not do that to people. But on the other hand, to assume that he's incapable of receiving a fair trial because of the prior publicity, and therefore deciding to just let him go, is ridiculous. And I know that it's not fair to assume guilt, to presume guilt, but I think that it is wise to be cautious where there is past history. Generally, the nature of sexual offenders is very well understood. There have been a lot of studies done into the subject, and quite often they reoffend. And it's common sense, it pays to be wary of a dog that's already bitten you once before. So what other solutions are there? Well, how about we consider that there are some crimes that are never actually thought of as being spent. So if and when offenders who've been convicted of these crimes are released back into society, they spend the rest of their lives on parole. And men who rape children, and it is nearly always men, they should never be placed in a position where they have the opportunity to do it again. And if a paedophile is considered reformed enough to go back into society, then I believe that he should never be permitted to have unsupervised contact with children, and that any such contact with children should be seen as a violation of the parole and result in an immediate return to prison. So in answer to your question, is it the paedophile's fault that he was released? I don't think it was. I don't think that he had any real choice over whether or not he was in prison, because if he did, he probably wouldn't have been in prison. Is it wrong of the people in the town where he lives not to want him there? Well, no, I don't think it is wrong at all, because I think it's perfectly understandable. It's how I would feel. Is it the legal system's fault? Well, yeah, I think it is, and I think that's the key. That's where the blame lies. Because generally speaking, in the Western world, the legal system would rather pay lip service to the idea of justice than actually do anything to resolve a problem. It's much cheaper to just punish people by sticking them in prison, and it just panders to society's desire for revenge. Unfortunately, reform costs more money, and the social conservatives will always take the opportunity to paint it as being soft on crime.